face and start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day.
The goods from the woods.
Hot damn!
Welcome to The Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
Not Riley.
Whoa. Do that again.
Was that the Adventures of Bayou Billy? What is that shit?
Adventures of Bayou Billy.
Oh yeah, that must be good night. Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour, Jack.
And today we are discussing crime and punishment.
I hate it when the law wins. Fuck the law.
I fought the law and I won.
Like the guy from the B-52.
I was going for Jello Biafra, but they might be the same guy.
It's often mentioned the strong Jello Biafra guy from the B-52.
I was going to say, this keeps coming up, is that there's really no discernible difference between a Jello Biafra impression and a Fred Schneider
Well, no, it's
impression.
the S, because it's like, sign says, that's Fred Schneider.
Yeah.
But Jello Biafra would be like, sign says, and there's not enough. You've been in school, like that, you know.
What's his name? Fred Schneider?
Yeah.
He reminds me of this gay guy who used to work at a filling station. Ashland, Virginia. Because he was one of those, like, southern gay guys.
We forgot to introduce our guest. Our guest today, my dear friend from Birmingham, Alabama, and now Los Angeles, California, Big Bad Joe Raines, everybody.
Hello!
Yeah. This is a show to talk about brushes with the law. I was going to start off by just saying that the year after I got out of high school, 3 people that I went to high school with were arrested in Huntsville, Alabama for robbing a roofing company with a stun gun.
And like a cattle prod stun gun or okay.
Like not a taser, a fucking, like, you have to go up and physically touch the guy, stun gun.
But was
Like
it
the
like
Mountie.
the super long one or like the short one?
The news story just said stun gun.
The Mountie. Remember the wrestler?
Or it could be the short one that looks like a electric razor. It's essentially an electric razor, but just with the
like
wires
the one
exposed.
from Batman Returns.
Yeah.
I don't know which, but all I know is that when you're robbing a place, you want to get cash. And what's going to have more cash than a fucking roofing company where literally 0 people pay for their product in cash?
Maybe he liked to steal checks.
Yeah, you could steal like a shitload of insurance checks and just wash them.
Or shingles, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't really want to.
You could steal like a nail gun or something.
Yeah,
Those are expensive.
They should have robbed the place with the fucking nail gun.
Probably
That would have been better than a stun
But you
gun.
have to get the stun gun to get the nail gun, and then you use the nail gun to rob.
Was it a real stun gun or was it like a stud detector or something? Masquerade? Maybe
some sort of.
Maybe you could sell like black market hardware. Maybe it was like.
Well, no. If you go to like a pawn shop, there's all sorts of hardware there, which I presume people steal from like construction sites.
Oh, there's a guy in my neighborhood every Saturday who just puts a blanket out and has like different types of construction equipment just laid out, and then you can just come haggle with him.
Maybe it's hot.
I'm sure it is.
Sure, it's hot.
I mean, you haven't been to my neighborhood, but I would be shocked if it wasn't hot.
I thought he was just selling the shit from his garage, like somebody won a contest on TV.
I have no idea. I don't want to go up and ask him anything. I don't want to, pry.
But all I know is this was my freshman year of college, and I was watching the news, and it was like coming up at 11, these 3 idiots tried to rob a roofing store with a stun gun, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And then the story came on, and they put up the 3 pictures, and I was like, holy shit, I know all 3 of these guys.
And you're better for it,
And this wasn't like near, this wasn't near Auburn. This was in Huntsville. This is all the way at the northern end of the state.
So they scouted.
Yeah, they went all the way to Huntsville to rob.
Made the news more entertaining that night.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Like a little bit of dinner theater.
I mean, there's worse things you can try and steal.
Like people.
Like people, yeah.
Yeah, they have that man act.
A big thing in Florida is that people are nuts. I think that's been established.
Yeah, for sure.
Across the country based on countless and countless news stories that circle around. Something weird from Yahoo.
Not to mention this podcast.
And this podcast, too. One of the big things is that Florida's such a horrible place and people love to get messed up on drugs. There's a big drug problem.
Yeah.
Like the town that I live next to has the highest drug addiction rate of any city in the number 2 in any city of the United States.
I mean, when the crocodile thing jumps from Russia to America, Florida will be hit.
Oh yeah, no, there were
There would
actually
be like a whole subset of like crocodile people. in
there were
Florida.
people in Florida that actually did butt hash.
butt hash, real quick, just in case somebody's not initiated with butt hash, aka jinkum, is where you defecate and urinate into a bottle, let it ferment for 2 weeks,
All that methane shit.
and then just inhale straight up methane.
Well, the
into your
thing
brain.
is, no. Here's the thing.
Thunderdome when it was making gas out of methane. It always remind me of that.
exactly.
So methane gets you high?
Oh yeah.
Well, any sort of thing that isn't
Stank like a
oxygen that you
motherfucker.
breathe gets you high because
Too
it
much
messes with
oxygen
your.
gets you high.
Yeah,
I forget what the sweet
Well, are you
said.
high because you don't have oxygen, or are you high because it's getting you high?
Well, there's no narcotic. It's just like essentially the thing of when you make somebody pass out.
It's the
I
same-
guess,
Well,
or-
that's not getting high. That's
well, it's
like,
the same as like nitrous oxide.
Okay,
or
well,
anything
here's the
else.
thing. You conveniently forgot something very important about butt hash. That butt hash
Quote of the
started.
You've forgotten something very important
important about butt hash.
about butt hash.
Butt hash
That's our iTunes description.
butt hash was something that was an urban legend about street kids that lived in poor areas of Zambia, the African country of Zambia, doing this. That some like person that was an aid worker or a missionary, I think it was a missionary, saw kids getting raw sewage, putting them in plastic bottles, putting balloons over it, and getting high off of it. Urban legend. Some knucklehead at a local news station sees this and is like, oh, this is the new drug. We need to do one of those local news, like new epidemic potentially happening in your neighborhood.
Your children
sort
are
of thing.
dying at
Your
9.
children are dying of butt hash. You know? They're inhaling their own duty.
Here is a shocking heads up for parents about teen drug use. One Florida Sheriff's Department warns there's a new way for your kids to get high. And as Fox 30's Jack Miller reports, they're using raw sewage.
The Washington Post, The Drudge Report, and Inside Edition are all talking about Jenkem.
That could be toxic and harming.
The Bulletin describes Jenkem as gas produced by raw sewage that's allowed to ferment. Pictures show young people who appear to be breathing in Jenkem. When we mentioned this new concoction to people on the street here in Jacksonville, not only had they never heard of it before, but they said they didn't want to get anywhere near it.
It sounds horrible. Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing something like that.
We weren't able to confirm tonight if Jenkem is a problem for law enforcement in our area. Cops are calling it Jenkem or the human waste drug, but parents need to be aware that kids are calling it by the more popular slang term, butt hash. Jack Miller, Fox 30 News.
And at this point, it's not clear if Jenkem can even be considered to be illegal. We'll keep you posted.
So anyway, they put it on the news. It doesn't stop anything. People think it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So kids see it and they're like, oh, this sounds like a good idea. And they do it because they think it's a real thing.
Yeah, but
Still
anybody who
better
thinks-
than meth.
Well, shit sniffing though. I mean, how the fuck far gone do you have to be to want to do some?
Why is it
shit
called
sniffing?
hash, though? Why is it called butt hash?
I don't know.
What has happened to the drug culture in this country? Because like in the '60s, the thing was banana dream. They were like the urban legend. You remember?
Yeah, yeah.
Like dried out a banana
Smoked
peel.
banana peels?
Yeah.
Electrical banana and all.
Or-
that. But
or-
banana is a friendly little thing.
Or
It is not
nutmeg or
like
something like
sewage
that.
And shit.
Well, I think
That's,
if you smoke like
Malcolm
dry
X.
Nutmeg will
bananas,
kill you.
if you smoke dry bananas, though, unless Wikipedia has lied to me, that really does get you high.
Well,
like
who edited
cinnamon and
the
nutmeg.
Wikipedia article? Was it Donovan Leach or something like
Somebody
this?
from
I
Dole.
don't know. I don't think they published the authors, do they?
No, it's probably just IP addresses.
Yeah, it's
But-
Spider Monkey 62.
Not needless to say, Florida is not big on your conventional drugs. So there isn't a big like heroin problem in this town. There isn't a big cocaine problem in this town. There isn't a big crack problem. There isn't even a bad meth problem. It's just people doing like OxyContin and like some meth. It's just like
Glade.
just the worst drugs.
Sniffing Glade. and shit.
Sniffing Glade.
Oh, whippets.
Yeah,
Lysol.
whippets, like huffing,
Waste of fucking
huffing spray paint out of a sock, you know, all this sort of stuff. Just all these bad things. Like you will, in order to buy rubber cement where I live in my hometown, you have to get a security clearance.
To have a permission
Wow.
slip.
It's insane. Yeah, you have to like, you know, you have to get like a level 3 security clearance. So anyway, the really big one that I've never seen anywhere else in America, and I've lived in a lot of places, is that a thing that people like to do, and there's crime waves of this where I live, and I do not see crime waves of this anywhere else, is that people go to neighborhoods, housing like neighborhoods, gated communities, stuff like that, and they bring garbage bag and a drill, and they drill into the core of an air conditioner.
Oh, with the Freon.
And to get the Freon out, and then they huff the Freon and they die.
I've heard of that because the Freon, if it doesn't kill you, makes you have like the most intense hallucinations. Right?
So there's nothing more ridiculous than you will sit on your porch and you will see guys like scurrying about. Like with a bag of like they're they're doing that little like hamburglar scurry with the big bag, but instead of it there being hamburgers inside, it's air conditioner coolant.
They're saying rumble.
Probably, and then they get high off of this stuff out in the woods, and that's like a huge crime wave. God. It goes hand in hand with the people that steal like copper out of construction sites.
Well, there's so much like empty housing units and shit in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And
the copper's everywhere. Like I have a friend who does comedy back in Birmingham who had his air conditioner stolen 3 times in like the span of 2 months. Somebody just kept coming back.
Outside of my hometown, there's a very small community called Salem, and one day they just found a barbecued human at the top of a substation.
Like a witch trial?
Yes, my dad works on submarines, and he was like circling that around. He thought it was the most amazing thing ever.
So they found a guy at the top of a substation. Where they're running all the power for Southern Lee County through this one substation. And
no, I thought you meant a submarine. There were guys that were trying to take shit off of a submarine.
No. When I say substation, I mean like a power station. Yeah. This guy tried to climb up and steal the copper out of the power station, and it was just barbecued to death. And so they found him the next day, just extra crispy.
That would have been a big damn payoff, though. Imagine if he'd gotten all the copper off the substation. Well, man, he'd be the richest crackhead in Lee County.
He could have just picked up pennies out of his friends' couches and probably got more copper out of that.
Who was stealing shit from submarines?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, maybe he wasn't.
There was a thing where there was a guy. There was some story where, like, over in Groton, Connecticut, that tried to like steal stuff off of a submarine. Because they construct submarine like parts.
Yeah.
I don't think that guy in Auburn was stealing shit. I think you guys got a problem with trimmers.
Good night. Have you got any brushes with the law?
A lot. There's probably had too many to mention. Mr. Goodnight don't get on good with the law, and the law does not get on good with Mr. Goodnight because, in a democracy, the intelligent are always really political prisoners. But I do not. One thing Goodnight don't like is cops. That's why when you see cops, Goodnight goes out of direction because they give me a lot of trouble, and I just want to get enough money so I can be above the law because that's the American dream.
Why don't you run for sheriff? Speaking of Florida,
I've thought about that.
Run for sheriff of Culver City. You got this.
I think I will when I get powerful enough, but they probably want me to do like police things and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I would fuck. I'd
you could
shake
run for
shit up.
You could run for dog catcher.
No, I'd be the best sheriff since fucking Buford T. Justice. They don't have dog catcher no more. This is not a fucking Warner Brothers cartoon. They have animal control, and that's a professional job. It's not an elected position.
Really?
Yeah, but I could shake shit up all over Culver.
Or maybe you could start a political machine.
I would like to. That is the best idea. I need that colonelcy.
You could be, I need that colonelcy like the Tammany boss.
Yeah, I like that.
Boss Goodnight.
Boss Goodnight. Fuck yeah,
I think I found my calling. Politics. Like Caesar. I love this. You got to give me that colonelcy, though. I'm going to be a colonel first. Colonel Goodnight. He's your friend.
He's your friend.
Vote for him. The joy won't end. I got, and the women, I would definitely get the women's vote. There's no doubt about that.
Well, screw colonel. Just be a general.
Yeah, but the colonel sounds better for public office because the general is a little too. Yeah, well, that's true. There is a Gaddafi issue. But, he could have raised himself to general in all those years. But even he figured that's probably overdone.
Wasn't Idi Amin like a colonel? He was always a perpetual colonel.
That was Gaddafi too.
No,
Maybe
I know
both were.
Gaddafi, but I think Idi Amin
wasn't
had
Kamala one of Idi Amin's
Idi Amin
bodyguards?
was like General of Cheeseburgers. I think that was his
it
official
was
title.
General of Scotland or something.
He was Mayor McCheese.
Mayor Mac Cheese. I could kick the Mac Cheese machine.
So if you were above the law, Goodnight, what would be the first thing that you would do?
I would create great liberties for the people. Stop having like cops bug them about shit for starters. I would also.
But that's not above the law stuff. That's just like if you get to elected
if I was
office.
above the law, I'd be living like Elvis. I'd be shooting at things all the fucking time, but in a safe way, people. Because gun safety is not a joke. So make sure you've got a good, backstop if you want to shoot at things.
So like water towers.
Water towers, street signs, garbage, billboards, all kinds of things.
Which
I would like to shoot
billboard
at.
would you shoot at?
That one with like 4 Beyoncés. Because that thing,
at Hollywood and Highlands?
Yeah, because in addition to everything else, it's old. That fucking thing has been up for months. I mean, I would shoot at that one. I would shoot with any billboard with Adam Sandler on it. I would shoot at those annoying billboards.
The bubblehead ones.
Oh, what the hell is that? I would leave the picture Mick Jagger alone on because I like his Stones. What the fuck is bubblehead?
There is no meaning behind it.
It's some artist, right?
Yeah, and he's doing some project for something that he wants to conceive as being a bigger thing. So he just says bubblehead, and he's just imagining David Geffen driving down the road or somebody like that being like, I want to see this bubblehead thing be real.
It's
and
like a guy with just bottomless resources. Like there's like an entire side of a building next to the 101 on Sunset that's just bubblehead.
And this is
the kind of thing that I would outlaw when I was sheriff. You understand? I would outlaw conspicuous displays of wealth by celebrities. I would outlaw the dick joke at the open mic. I think it would be a new era of freedom and peace if I was in charge of everything. But, that's what
you establish some great stuff that you do above the law.
A PAX good nocturne.
Exactly. Very good, Rose. But yeah, I would have all kinds of fun if I was above the law. Oh my God, don't look out, women. But y'all,
what does that mean?
Well, they'd love it because maybe we'd allow orgies in certain places and things like this. It would be a good time. It would be a good time.
What?
Well, some orgies.
Well, you can do that now, though.
Yeah.
No, it's harder to get chicks to Florida and do it. Think. What's that, Florida?
You can move to Florida.
I don't want to move to Florida. I got to get done here. I could go to Florida and get some meth or some shit.
Florida's a big
We'd have an alligator living in my pool, which is definitely an advantage of Florida.
There's no orgy like a butt hash orgy.
Yeah, exactly. I want an orgy with an alligator at it. I'll import an alligator for my orgy. Now, that's kind of an opulent display of wealth. Look how I've become what I despise. Meet the new boss. Same as the old boss. I would ban classic rock radio stations from playing the same 6 songs. That's another fucking thing.
I'm on board with that.
I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah,
I'm
the
sick and
champion
tired.
saw it. It's gone.
Carry On My Wayward Son wasn't good in 1978.
Still not good.
No Rush at all.
No Eagles.
No Eagles.
No Eagles.
If you start talking about how good the Eagles
or you start talking about how good Kansas is.
I'm backing up to Kansas. Kind of like Carry On My Wayward Son.
Oh, God.
I can listen to that maybe once a decade.
Yeah. No.
Okay, there's the law. Once a decade.
Once a
Carry On My Wayward
but,
Son.
But it's like anything by the Eagles ever.
Anything?
Never. No,
March 14th every year is the time in which
that would be great.
Is that even the Eagles?
Yeah, because the riff on that one's pretty good. But that's the only Eagles one.
The part that song is terrible. Because there's that part where Don Henley goes, every day, all the time.
There's parts that suck.
I feel like the Eagles would have been okay if somebody had shot Don Henley in the face. Like, first album, he gets one track, you're done. Boom, boom, in the face, done.
There's going to be a lot of gunshots
So he's just singing out the side of his mouth.
He, whistles with his mouth closed.
That's Hotel California.
Mouth farts out the chorus.
Bring your alibis.
Down there with their stealing knives.
You can shoot me in the face, but you still can't kill the beast. But there would have to be a lot of bullets and faces to to really, if we're really talking about eagles here, it'd have to be shooting a lot of people in the face. It wouldn't be pretty.
Well,
you would not want that picture on the album cover.
No. Everybody but Joe Walsh. Shoot them all.
Glenn Frey, we keep Glenn Frey for just doing, but you make the law that he only can play stuff from the Miami Vice soundtrack. You Belong to the City is a hilarious song.
I think Jan Hammer was really the heavy hitter on the Miami Vice soundtrack. But
I beg to differ.
Huh?
Isn't he dead?
I don't know.
Heavy metal.
He wasn't dead for the soundtrack.
I remember something on VH1 where he was like, "This guy's a genius," and then like the next show was, "He's dead."
Oh shit! Where are they now?
Where are they now? But it was like
they just
nowhere.
They just cut to a grave.
Grieving relatives, like the Hammer family, just being like, "We miss Jan.
MC.
We miss Father Jan."
John McLaughlin is just standing on the fucking grave, shredding ass. Wow. Brought it to a screeching halt with the mob.
I'm more of a jazz
trying to look
funk
up
guy.
whether or not Jan. This is the problem with Beavis. I'm trying to look out whether or not Jan Hammer's dead. And when I put in Jan, the first thing, the predictive thing is Jan Hus, because obviously I've been looking up medieval heretic movements in Bohemia. But
like you do,
Jan,
he was pretty good. Got burned at the stake.
Yeah, I know. A Council of Constance, I believe.
I feel like in the medieval times, like getting burnt at the stake is the equivalent of overdosing at 27 for us.
Well, you know,
you weren't
Joan
a
of Arc,
fucking badass in the Middle Ages.
Joan of Arc,
unless
Joan of Arc burned at the stake, and then they retried her and said she was innocent. And then she won battles. She was a peasant girl, and France was doing so shitty in the 100 Years' War, they made her a goddamn general because she was a peasant girl.
She was great.
Yeah, I know.
And
she turned the tide of a war that lasted a century.
I know.
It began the driving of the English, who controlled most of Eastern France. Western France at that point, drove them the fuck out of there. And then she became a saint centuries later.
They say that butterflies appeared in her wake.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Jan Hammer is 65 and alive.
Oh,
yeah. So he can still.
Who am I thinking of?
He can still tour with Neil Schon from.
Oh, he's from Prague, so maybe he is related to Jan Hus.
Maybe.
Yeah, and he can still tour with Neil Schon from Journey for their Schon and Hammer project.
He could tour with MC
Look it
Hammer.
up. Yeah.
2 hammers, Hammer Squared or something. H2.
If I had a hammer, I'd go see him tomorrow night at the Forum.
I've never been arrested.
You had a close call, a brush, or maybe seen a crime that you could have stopped and yet you did nothing.
Boy.
Phil Collins sings a song about you.
I'm trying to think.
Pat, you know some nutty people. I'm sure
I
you know
do,
some
and
Your buddy with the warrants, the outlaw.
Yeah, there was a guy that I knew. I think I told the story about the guy puking on the Girls Gone Wild cameras in the Dave Wade episode.
Yeah.
The same guy, he was notorious for getting hit for petty crimes. You know, having a dime bag, running red lights, all this sort of stuff, driving on a suspended license, but they would accrue. Also, he wouldn't show up for his court dates or pay his tickets. So he would get bench warrants in the mail. And he was like so low level that they wouldn't have a bounty hunter going off against them because he. So
he's like a guy they would nab by giving him free Iron Bowl tickets.
Exactly. If they would be like, all right, free boat raffle, you got to show up, he'd be like, oh, yeah.
And then you walk into the room and they're playing Crazy Train and then they put you in cuffs.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy, he was this guy that used to go to strip clubs a lot. Big surprise. And he used to lay tile and carpet for a living. Another big surprise. No offense to anybody that lays tile and carpet, but that guy has to do that. He would empty his check out and just go to a strip club and just like throw money around like it was water because he was still like not in on the work. He was still a mark for that sort of thing. And my friend who went with him told me that he used to do this thing where he would bring copies of his bench warrants to the strip club, and he would you know how it's a 3-fold piece of paper, like anything that you get sent to you from anywhere.
Right.
He would fold it up where it would just say bench warrant for your arrest, but not necessarily have what was on there. And he would turn it around so it just said bench warrant. And he would go up to, like, the stripper would come over to talk to him and hustle him because he was a total mark. And he would just pull this out and just like, Y'all check it out, girl. I'm an outlaw. Girls like a bad boy, don't they? You know.
I kind of like that guy.
I'm kind of surprised it didn't.
My friend also told me that at one point he just like had a big wad of $100 of $1 bills, 100 of them, and he just walked up to the stage and just threw them on the stage when nobody was on the stage.
Wow.
He just walked up, was like, blah, and he just like threw it on the stage and just like walked away. And the money was just apparently sitting there unclaimed. Just like it just sat there for a minute because I guess I don't know what goes on, but like, you know,
transitioning,
That'd be so cool if they had a Zamboni that would come out and suck all the money out.
Yeah. The big vacuum cleaner from Teletubbies comes out and sucks it all up.
It's just it's playing girls.
Yeah.
And then the guy who sings that song is the one driving it.
Yeah, Vince Neil,
single tier.
This guy also. He went on. He got addicted to drugs of some variety. Maybe Freon. I don't know. And he started living at this place called the Colonial Motel. The Colonial Motel. You've heard of the hourly rates motels?
Yeah.
This Colonial Motel, I think, might be the first place in history to have quarter hourly rates.
Whoa!
Wow.
15 minutes.
Quarter hourly rates. That's how it was next to a Burger King, and it was like the scuzziest Burger King ever because it was next to the Colonial Hotel.
So Burger King has really gone down.
Yeah.
In the years.
So he got on this big binge on something. I don't know what, because we didn't hear from him for like 6 months, and he got really drunk, and somebody had like a makeshift prison tattoo machine made out of. You know, a Bic pen and
ballpoint pins.
Ballpoint, yeah, exactly. And he just started tattooing his legs,
like Ozzy Osbourne did in prison.
Yeah, and he was completely in a stupor. So he tattooed, and it was all from the perspective of him. So when he stood up, everything was upside down.
Yeah.
So he just like he drew his son's name, his birthday. His birthday, not his son's birthday, his birthday, a big squiggle, and Melbourne till I die.
Awesome.
Which is the town I'm from, but he misspelled Melbourne. Instead of MELBOURNE, it was MELBREN.
Melbourne. That's closer.
Put Melbourne Public Schools on it.
That's closer to the Australian pronunciation of Melbourne.
My favorite is the squiggle though, because that's the point where it's just doodling.
But it wasn't even a face. It wasn't even like any sort of shape.
Yeah, it was just doodling.
Sort of form. Nothing. It was just a squiggle. So I think that was the image. If you could get as close as you could to the platonic form of stupid, that's what it looks like. I thought
it was the Melbourne till I die, and that was the other leg.
Melbourne.
It looked like when Charlie Brown would get pissed off and there was that squiggle over his head.
Oh, you mean like a Nautilus shell?
Like No, like when he had that squiggle over his head when he got mad. Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yeah,
that's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
why his birthday?
I don't know. I think those were all the things he remembered in his stupor. He remembered his son's name, his birthday, where he was from, not spelled correctly, but he had an allegiance to it. Yeah. And I don't know what the squiggle was.
Maybe he wanted to do Charlie Brown, but he can only remember that thing over his head.
Or like he started something out, realized he fucked it up, and was like, "Yeah, well, just make a squiggle."
There was another guy. There was another guy that I knew. There was another guy that I knew who he was a big fan of PCP. I went to high school with him. Huge PCP nut. Which I've never met a PCP nut before.
Where would you even find PCP?
I try not to.
They also don't live that long.
I don't know. Like I don't run in bad company, so maybe I wouldn't. Maybe more people know
because you're not Paul Rogers.
Maybe if you go to a bad company concert, you'll see people wet on PCP or something like that. So this guy,
a bunch of old, like 80-year-old.
I'm tripping my balls.
Yeah, man, I'm a shooting star. That's what I am.
Maybe that's why they like Bad Company, because they like these skullet, sleeveless T-shirt wearing Good Brothers are just like, I went to go see bad company at the county fair, and Paul Rogers' eyeballs just started squirting blood. You know?
They're just beating the shit out of each other with canes. Here come the Justas! 1, 2, 3.
So anyway, but I don't roll with a crew that's like, so maybe that's more prolific.
Okay, for the record, you're not in neither Bad Company nor Crew.
No Crew.
Shit in metal bands.
So anyway, so this guy that I knew used to be a big PCP guy.
Yeah.
And one time he got high on PCP and he decided to go for a nice drive. You know?
Perfect. The street is a running river of blood.
I need to get in my ferry and drive across the Hades, you know. I'm so hot right now. But he was like, apparently this is what happened. He was buck naked because apparently you get so hot when you're on PCP that you just shed all your clothes. So he's naked, he's driving, and he's sweating profusely. I don't know how he decided to drive. I don't know where that came into his mindset. So he's driving. The cops pull him over, and he gets out of the car, busts out like the Tasmanian devil, and apparently he just yelled, "Your head's a strawberry!" And then just starts fighting the cops. And they had to like taser him. I don't know why he did. I don't know where "your head's a strawberry" came from.
Well, why does
he got arrested?
A strawberry want to make him want to fight?
I don't know. If I saw a big strawberry,
but if you saw a strawberry-headed man, you'd think like the fruit was rebelling or some shit.
I would try to eat his face before I punched him.
Well, you need some whipped cream with it, maybe some shortcake or something. If you really want to have a good meal.
Yeah, I know, but it was one of those things that, and he pretty much got off scot-free because he was like 18. They were like, what just happened?
Yeah.
You know?
It's a similar story. This is like people I know, but again, I don't really run with a bad crowd, but this is some people I know. To understand this story, you have to know that fans of LSU are the most terrible fans ever. They'll come to town and they'll just raise hell in the town. And so, yeah, that's just what you have to know. So anyway, I wasn't there for this, but basically, two friends of mine call a cocaine dealer who is also a friend of mine. The cocaine dealer comes to the house. One of the friends, just while they're chatting, grabs an 8-ball out of his hand and runs out the door. And the other guy,
gotta make a move.
The other guy, the dealer chases him out into the trailer park, and they run off into the night. He takes off after him in a truck. Like, is driving in between trailers in a fucking truck, trying to run him down, trying to kill him. And the people left there are just like, wow, it was fucking weird. So about an hour and a half later, the guy who grabbed the coke comes back in, and he has 2 bloody knees, and like he's just got blood running down his face, and he's just like covered in dirt, and he's all fucked up. And they come in, they're like, oh my God, what the fuck? What happened? Did he beat you up? And he's like, no, man, some LSU fans beat the shit out of me. It was during the LSU game. He ran by a tailgate. LSU had lost that year, and they're like, get him! And then he pulled out the coke. And then later the dealer showed back up, and I believe he hit him in the head with a bottle.
It sounds like a My Name is Earl episode.
Yeah.
Well, my first arrest, there's been a few. My first arrest is kind of crazy. It ended up there, like, during Christmas time, like local news stations will do like, don't drink and drive during the holidays, and they'll show like, like a 10-second clip of some kind of reenactment of a arrest report. Yeah. It's like, don't drink and drive on the holidays, and they'll show some like wild shit, and then it'll just go to the show. Well, my first arrest, like I missed work for a whole weekend because my dad, like I got arrested. And I called my dad, and he's like, yeah, I'll bail you out. But he left me in there the whole weekend so I could, think about it. Yeah. Didn't really do any good work. I got arrested a whole bunch of times after that. But so I got arrested, and then like the way it starts is kind of fucking crazy. We started out like we all took liquor to a house party, and then everybody at the house party was already passed out. So that was probably a good sign, like, leave. But they were like, well, we bought this whole like Jaeger machine with a Jaeger bottle, and this really needs to be gone by tomorrow. And so
I love that this needs to be gone by tomorrow. Like it goes bad. Like
Exactly,
it's egg whites sitting at room temperature, and then
It turned back into a pumpkin or something.
fucking fine. No, it turns back into
a beer. You know,
at midnight, with this like poof in the air, and it was like a bad decision. But I took that as a personal challenge. So I had my bottle of whiskey and the Jaeger machine with the handle. So like between 4 people, we killed the Jaeger machine, and then I killed my 5th of whiskey by myself. So how I didn't get alcohol poisoning, I still don't understand. So I don't know what happens at one point in the party. Apparently I got in a fight with somebody and this like left, and I don't know how I got to my car. Somehow I got to my car, and then somehow I ended up in Bessemer. And if you don't know Alabama, that's like an hour out of any possible way.
that's where Bo Jackson's from.
That's right.
All right, yeah, it's like where Bo Jackson is from, and then besides him, Sadness and Crack. That's what's from that city.
I'm surprised Bo didn't find you and set you on a straight and narrow.
Oh, this is like 3 a.m. I'm sure he was either hunting a deer or running or being sad. So
Or creating the Grand Canyon or something.
Yeah, Bo was never sad. Bo is a god on earth.
The only thing about that night I really remember is walking down the side of the road, kind of, and then telling the officer while the handcuffs went on, officer, I promise you, I'm not that drunk. So I like blacked out the whole time. They found me. I wasn't wearing shoes. I still don't know where those shoes are. Walking down the side of the interstate, like soaking wet, and it wasn't raining. So I still don't know how I got soaking wet, and it wasn't sweat. So I'm really kind of confused as that happened. But I woke up in Bessemer City Jail at 8 o'clock in the morning with bar none the worst fucking hangover I have ever had in my entire life.
No.
And I lean up. I don't even know how I got in the jail. I don't even remember being in jail. So I wake up, look around, holy fuck, where am I? And then a crackhead who was my cellmate was still coming down, scratching himself, and he looks at me and with like the most earnest, like careful, I love you kind of look, goes, man, you got a problem. I was like, oh my fucking God. When a crackhead tells you you have a problem, it's probably time to take a step back. I didn't, but so this is like a beginning of a long career. But when I got out of jail, finally went to work the next day. So I went to work the next day, and I was like, they're like, where the fuck have you been? And I was like, well, I was in jail. Sorry. And my boss was real cool. She was like, oh, what'd they get you for? What did you had a gun? Were you moving some weed? And I was like, no, I was just walking around drunk. And so she immediately lost all respect for me. And then so I'm telling my coworkers, and she was like, shit, what are you talking about? You mean on the way to like Tuscaloosa way? And I was like, yeah. She was like, were you not wearing shoes? And I was like, no. How the hell did you know that? And she was like, man, you were on TV.
You were the reenactment.
My arrest record was CBS 42's. Don't drink and drive during the holidays.
But you weren't driving.
No shit. I don't. My car was in the. Apparently, at some point, I realized I was going the complete opposite direction of where I was supposed to go. So I tried to go through a median to turn around because I found my car later. So I tried to turn around in a median. The car got stuck. So I got out of the car.
Wait, hold on. Were you going the wrong way down the interstate?
No, I was going the right way on the interstate to the wrong city.
You realized you were going the wrong direction.
So you're going towards
I'm going towards like Tuscaloosa, which is the opposite way because at the time I was like, way the other way living. So the car's in the middle of the median stuck in like mud or something. I think that's where the shoes are. That could possibly be why the shoes were gone.
They're now part of the fossil record.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Some shitty old New Balance.
Paleontologists have been making fun of your ass in the future.
So that story is embarrassing and awful. That was the first arrest. See, the second...
Hey, you made TV. That ain't bad.
Oh, yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like, shouldn't they, like, ask me or something? Like, I understand you didn't use my name, but still, that's, like, likeness rights. I think they owe me some money.
I just want to see the guy they got to play you.
He better not have been fat. I will be so pissed off.
What if he's just super sexy?
If he was super sexy, I'd be like, fine.
He's just got, like... Yeah, he's got
like he's just some actor.
He's got like abs
and like a tight shirt. That's
hi,
like
my name's Joe Raines.
My name's Joe Raines. It takes 12 inches long. Let's see. The second arrest is that one is that was a DUI. That one I earned.
Yeah.
That one I'll give.
I think you
Hoover.
earned the last one.
No, the first one was a misunderstanding. I didn't know you couldn't walk down the side of the interstate.
No, I mean, you earned a good one there.
Yeah. Turns out you can't.
No, you can't. You can't ride your bike on the interstate either.
You can't. Yeah, it's just discrimination.
What happens if you run out of gas? You got to walk down the side of the interstate.
Apparently, you can't. Or maybe I was just too drunk to be walking. I don't know. The second arrest
Maybe you have to wear shoes.
was a DUI. I got for going like 90 and a 70. So that was my fault. But to be honest and to be fair, I really had to pee.
Yeah.
Like super bad. So like now I'm extremely adept at peeing into like a Coke bottle while driving.
Yeah.
Which is so much more dangerous, but I'm not going to get
My
speed.
dad was really good at that.
Oh yeah, all you need to do is like stick your knee up against the steering wheel, and then if it's a stick, you're fine, or if it's on Mac, you're fine. But I usually like stick my other leg into the stick to make sure it doesn't move, and then you got your leg and your steering wheel and your
and then you do your thing.
And then you just you got your hands free, so you just get the bottle, pull your pants down, and the car next to you is like, "What is he doing?" And you're like, "Winning." The second arrest was the DUI I got because I was driving way too fast. That one was my fault because I blew like a 2.2. No, I'm almost positive it was.
So 2% of your blood was alcohol.
like when the officer made me blow, I remember, this is like one of the few parts I remember, he was like, this fucking machine's broken. And then I almost fell over, and then like the guy with him was like, nah, it ain't. So, whatever I blew, they debated taking me to the hospital, but then, I guess we started talking, and they're like, oh no, he's just has a problem. So that one, they took me to Hoover jail, which is like a spa. I was eating Hot Pockets and watching Discovery Channel. Like that. That shit was on fire.
So here's your Alabama travel tip.
If you're gonna get arrested,
do it in Hoover.
Do it in Hoover, but don't do anything that's gonna require fines or classes because Hoover's gonna get that money from you. But if you're gonna get arrested,
you gotta pay for that
football
TV,
team, dude. That fucking Hoover Bucks, man.
If you're gonna get arrested, do it in Hoover because I had Hot Pockets for lunch and dinner, and then Hungry Man breakfast. Breakfast.
Lock me the fuck up.
And we watched.
Did y'all get?
Speaking of classic radio, we watched Discovery Channel. Like they would move the TV down like the hallway where the cells are. Yeah. So like this cell would watch for a while, then that cell would watch for a while, and then when it wasn't your time to watch, they would pump in classic rock radio, The Eagle. So
that would be the torture. That would be the torture.
Yeah,
but y'all get?
Is that band
PBS
under the
Kids?
Geneva Convention?
No,
or something?
it would just be like it would be like Skinnerd. Journey, I fucking
like a Skinner, but like on TV in a jail. Could y'all get PBS Kids?
That's
well, we didn't really ask. Like they were like, "Well, you want to watch TV?" And we're like, "Hell yeah!"
They have
watch
the Disney
TV.
Channel.
Yeah, these are like Hoover officers. These are like alpha male white douchebag guys. So you don't really ask for anything. You just take what they give you and smile. So that one was cool. It was just really expensive. Holy God, DUIs are so.
When
expensive.
does it become not cool?
What?
The arrests that are just not cool. That are just
Well, the Bessemer one was terrifying because my cellmate was a crackhead who kept telling me his life story. He was like, "Man, I won the lottery, but I don't got any of that money." And I was like, "Why?" "Shit, man, we went to Nolans. I just went to the casino and we just got crazy fucked up."
Yeah, cellmates is the worst because if you're gonna get locked up, you really need
and
a private
they're
cell.
never cool. Like that's what I always like. I've been arrested 4 times. I was like, maybe this time is so cool. I get a cool cellmate.
Cool,
you get a best friend out of it.
Yeah, cool. Like because every time I've ever been arrested, there's like a whole bunch of scary dudes, and then there's one cell where they don't stop laughing the whole time you're there. They're like cutting up, playing cards, just having the best damn time ever.
It's like the cool kids table at lunch.
It's like summer camp. They're having summer camp over there, and you're here with the crackhead who's still scratching himself, telling you about you have problems and shit. And
fucking Cherokee cabin has all all the fun.
Yeah, exactly. They're across the lake, and I'm at like the shitty camp.
You're in Choctaw, and it's just not as good.
I'm in whatever Ernest T. Bass was running. The second time was Hoover. That was a DUI, and I was way too drunk. That was my fault. And Hoover was pretty cool to me. The third time was Birmingham City Jail, and those guys suck.
Like Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you write any letters while you were there?
I had a dream, and that was for the people to quit touching me. That was horrifying. Like, those guys, man, you want to talk about, like, searching me? Like, I didn't have any digits put in me, but holy God, I had to move everything that moved a lot. So, that, Birmingham, if you're ever going to get arrested, do not get arrested. In Alabama, do not get arrested in Birmingham City Jail. Those guys fed us like sharecroppers. I may be fat, but food's not that unimportant. Like, you get a tiny little thing of greens, a tiny little thing of black-eyed peas, and then a tiny little cornbread, and then a little tiny little jug of milk. That was like a day from expiration. And that was like breakfast, lunch. That was lunch and dinner, and breakfast was one of those tiny little cereal things with the milk. So,
the food, like, if that was a full meal, that sounds like an amazing meal. It's just
it was
portion
it was
control.
tiny little portions, and it was disgusting. And they had no air, no heat, which I know people are like, well, fuck you, you're a criminal. Man, I was just drunk. I'm not a criminal. I need some air conditioning when it's 100 degrees outside. And they give you like a tiny little plastic pallet on top of, like, it's fucking awful. I almost got beat up every day. Birmingham City Jail is fucked up.
How long was you in there?
That one almost a week, because my dad had enough. Joseph, I'm just going to leave you in there. I've had enough. That one I was in there for a while. That one sucked. And then, like, they had, like, a roll call, like, every 15 minutes. And I kept wondering, how the fuck are you going to escape from Birmingham City Jail? Like, it's a giant steel room. If you're in there...
I don't know, maybe it was like Hogan's Heroes, and they had like a radio in the ice bucket.
They gave us plastic sporks. There's no way I'm tunneling out of this. Like, you know, let me sleep. I don't understand why you can't sleep for more than like an hour in jail.
Do not get arrested in Birmingham.
And the fourth
Birmingham
time?
sucks. Fourth time was because I didn't go to the alcohol classes for the DUI, which I still think is bullshit because I paid my fucking fines. I let you P-test me for a whole fucking year. That's what I really think is bullshit about DUIs in America. Like, if you get arrested for a DUI, you have to go to alcohol classes and get a piss test once a month, every month. All right? If weed shows up on that, you go back to jail. But guess what? I can do heroin 28 days out of the month and then stop for one day and then go get tested and not shit's going to happen to me.
That's a crazy
That's
thing. Like,
fucking insane.
It's like cocaine has a very short life.
Cocaine,
on there.
cocaine will hit you because there was always this lady who had to pee right before me who would always show positive for cocaine and never know why. He'd be like, Mrs. blah, blah, blah. The cocaine fairy didn't just put this cocaine in your urine. And she'd be like, well, I don't know how it happened.
I was drinking 19th century patent medicine.
Like, so I know cocaine will show up for like a couple of weeks at least.
Really?
Mr. McGillicuddy puts it in the egg fizz down the street.
But I had a friend who was also in it, and he was like a really bad heroin addict, which is, if you're going to have a drug addict friend, the heroin addict's the best way to go. Because cocaine addicts don't shut the fuck up. Crack addicts won't shut the fuck up. Meth addicts won't shut the fuck up. Heroin addicts are asleep 20 hours of the day.
Yeah, because they're probably dead.
Dead, asleep. I'm not listening to his stories about third grade, so it's all good. But... no, that's fucking terrible. I don't understand. Like, if you have to pay thousands of dollars, fine, here's your money. You have to go go to alcohol classes. They're like $100-something a pop, and all it is them saying, hey, don't drink. Okay. Then you have to go take P-tests to see if you're smoking weed, which has nothing to do with anything.
Well, when I take over the country or the government or whatever I was talking about earlier, one of the things I would first get rid of is the piss testing. Because that is a terrible infringement on everybody's rights.
Yeah, you shouldn't know what's inside my body. That's for me.
Why come you should have to get any kind of fucking piss test for any kind of fucking job? Because what you do on your own time is none of their fucking business.
Well, and the thing that really stinks is that the P-test always gets attached to jobs that are just low on the totem pole.
Yeah, like
entry level or
temp services.
Temp services, anything where you're like, on the lower rungs, you get P-tested, not just when you go in, but probably frequently. But, like, that's the whole thing, like colleges, for example.
Yeah.
Like, they'll P-test the cafeteria people, they'll P-test facilities, they'll P-test the janitors, but they won't P-test the professors. And the professors, if they P-tested them, they'd all get fired. You know?
Well, I want my professor to be on weed, though.
I want my janitor to be on weed, too.
Well, that's true. He needs weed because his life
that's what I'm
sucks.
saying. And this was
especially if it's non-union.
Well, no, it was a tremendous infringement on everybody's rights, and everybody let it happen in the 80s and all this shit when they did this say no to drug stuff. Anybody out there that allowed it back then, fuck you. When I take over, this shit's gone.
Well, did you see the article about the Florida congressman was one of the guys who sponsored the drug test food stamp people, and he just got busted for cocaine possession?
Yes. Yep.
If anybody should be drug tested, it's congressmen.
Congress, yeah.
Because what the fuck do? You work a third of the year. The rest of the year, you sit on your ass and campaign.
Sometimes karma comes back on your ass.
That's fucking crazy. They should be drug tested.
I love it when that happens.
Oh, it's the best.
Like Larry Craig in Idaho, when he got busted at the airport for solicitation.
Oh,
when the guy
old
voted,
foot tap.
Yeah, and when he voted for against like gay rights for all those years,
right,
and he gets busted for that.
All full of shit. Look at that. What's his name?
Terrible, awful people.
Oh, I'm blanking on his name. The racist.
Strom Thurmond.
Strom Thurmond, a black mistress all them years.
Yeah.
All these motherfuckers are the biggest hypocrites you've ever met in your life.
Strom Thurmond had black children.
Yeah.
A few of them.
Congressmen are the most evil shit people ever. Like I don't know if it's this everywhere, but in Alabama, when you retire from Congress, you get to keep your campaign war chest.
Really?
Like, when the money you use,
slush fund,
the money you used for ads and shit, that's hundreds of millions of dollars for every congressman in America. I don't know if it's everywhere, but I know in Alabama, like Jeff Sessions is reported to have hundreds and hundreds of millions in his re-election, and the other guy too. And they're both shitty, awful people. When they retire,
Richard Shelby.
Yeah, Richard Shelby and Jeff Sessions, the two fucking worst goddamn people in the state of Alabama. Yeah. When they retire, they have hundreds of millions of dollars coming into their pocket. And what do they do all day? Nothing.
Yeah. Do you have to win?
No.
Just
One
pretend.
Of us could
all they do is they
Congress.
sit around and pretend it's 1880 and just want to roll everything back to 1880.
I could do that easy. Pretend it's like one of us should run for Congress. It's like the producers.
Well, who's going to give us campaign money though?
I don't know. We'll kick the women and probably give me some Kickstarter. We'll do this Kickstarter shit.
You'll be like Warren Harding.
For Congress?
You'll be the one that's just like.
So is your Kickstarter campaign going to be mostly Facebook posts where you're like, "Hey, give 30 cents to my Congress Kickstarter."
And 30 cents adds up, and we don't have to win. We'll do one ad. We'll take some crowns and we'll put some ads up. Maybe in Culver or wherever we're running for the government.
Yeah.
And when we lose, we'll keep that war chest.
We'll team up with Bubblehead and get some Bubblehead money.
And,
double up.
Afterwards we'll be able to eat at Roscoe's all we want.
Yeah, that's right. We'll eat at
3 meals a day.
We can eat at Diners.
Pepe's for breakfast, Diners for lunch, Roscoe's for dinner.
We're going to have to go easy on pans, though, because that one is expensive.
I think if we ate that for 3 meals, we'd all have to wear the pins. Our election would be sponsored by the
Bring
pins.
on the diapers, because that's what the Colonel run for office. All of us run for office.
What's that smell? Oh, that's just those guys from L.A. They shit their pants a lot.
Only way to live, Jack. Only way to live. It's like mercantilism. You want to export.
It's a sign of success.
Yeah, exactly.
The smell of success, if you will.
The sweet smell of success.
I just remembered one thing, which is
It's totally the butt hash tagline or the butt hash sales pitch.
Butt hashtag.
This is the closest I ever got to getting arrested.
Yeah.
At my school, they used to have the magazine sale.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had the magazine
sale. Was it
sale.
For like a fundraiser?
Yeah, fundraiser magazine sale.
Magazine and candy.
Okay, so they had the magazine one, and we always had this woman that had this like super Southern voice. It's like, hey y'all, it's me, Brenda, with magazine sale time again, God. And her thing was just like, I think I'd mentioned this before in the concert episode, but this is the longer story. I don't mention Triple Deep in this one.
And they're off the chain.
Yeah. So her whole thing was like, all right, everybody, you need to sell magazines. And remember, the magic number is 10. If you sell 10 magazines, you get XYZ and you get to say Triple Deep.
You should fill in, Joe. Triple Deep is a third-tier boy band.
Yeah, third-tier boy band.
I gotta say, Triple Deep
there was
is the best name for anything ever.
There's 4 of them.
It doesn't even matter what you're selling. Triple Deep whiskey, Triple Deep condoms, Triple Deep anything.
But there's 4 of them.
There's 4 of them. There's 4 of them, and they just look horrible.
Was there originally 3, and then they were like...
No, they were Triple Deep because they were off the Chizane. That was their explanation. Anyway, so every year they used to have this thing where there was the mascot that the magazine lady would bequeath upon the senior class of the high school. She'd be like, all right, if you bring this to graduation day in one piece, you get
a jet ski.
You all get to share one collective jet ski.
It's going to be like Russia.
Who's using a jet ski this weekend?
And Soviet Russia magazines sell you.
Jet ski rides you.
But the thing was I was always in the senior class, and the junior class would try and steal it because they didn't want the senior class
Fucking
to get
juniors,
whatever.
man.
Yeah, I know. They wanted to be higher up on, and it was like a huge thing. And every year, like, they would run it through the football games, and it was the only reason to go to that one football game because our team was pretty terrible. Because you would see just a melee in the middle of the field of these people fighting over a gigantic stuffed, Garfield or something like that.
Yeah.
And the school was cool with this. They were fine with it until when I was a senior in high school. And at the time, I was senior class president, right? Don't know how it happened. Must have been my charm.
We talked about that once.
Yeah. So anyway, the juniors got tipped. There's some stooge that tipped off the juniors about where the mascot was being hidden. So they went in there and masterminded some sort of Ocean's 11 style plot to steal the mascot and parade it through the magazine sale like they meant something. So the magazine sale starts. The woman's just like, hey, y'all, it's me, Brenda. It's time for the magazine sale again. And then you just see these people just like, we got the giant stuffed dog, What happens was, a few of the students thinking, oh, juniors have the dog, we get to fight. They run down and there's a big dog pile that forms, right?
When you're saying they, you mean you.
I did. What happened was I was sitting there, right? And I saw this big pile and I was just like, all right, this guy because the dude that was one of the dudes in my class got jacked up. Like he got spear tackled from behind. I'm like, oh man, I just got to pull this guy out. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
But the problem was that there was more people, so it just grew upon itself. More people. Unbeknownst to me, my friend Josh, who I think was the first hipster I ever met, Josh Lajoie, runs out. He's like about 5'6", 110 pounds soaking wet, walks up to the pile, crosses his arms, and does the people's elbow on this pile of 50 kids.
Hell yeah.
Just like with the full theatrics, running back and forth, people's elbow on top, and just walks to his seat. When I was pulling it out, somebody had tackled me, and I got a stinger. I couldn't get up. So they pull everybody out and they cordon us off in front of the school. And the vice principal, Ernie Harrington, comes out. And Ernie Harrington loved you too.
Great vice principal name.
Yeah.
Loved you too. Amazing mustache.
Yeah.
So he was the quintessential vice principal.
And the vice principal, of course, this is like the discipline vice principal, or did you have several?
We had one, and he just kind of sat around and listened to like U2 all the time.
Oh, okay.
I think that's all he did.
See, we had like several, and one of them was specifically the discipline vice principal, and the rest just did nothing.
So what happened was he cordoned us all off, and he's just like, all right, this is unacceptable. Bobby Ford, who was at the bottom of this, has a broken back. He's in intensive care, and he's just making shit up. He broke his nose. He acted like Bobby Ford got run over.
This whole thing sounds like a wrestling program.
So he just gets run. He's just like, he broke his back. We don't know if he's going to live or not. And I hold all of you responsible, especially you, Pat Riley. And I was like, what? He's like, you're going to go to jail. I'm going to make sure you don't get into college. I'm like, what just happened? I'm trying to pull this dude out of this pile, and this guy's threatening to ruin my life because there's some stupid magazine sale lady that presents us with empty promises of jet skis if we have a stuffed dog that we bury. It's stupid.
Jet skis or jet skis?
Jet ski.
I'm sorry.
Singular.
jet ski.
And not even the kind you sit on. The kind you have to be dragged behind until you can stand on your own. The shitty one.
You mean a wakeboard?
Yeah, a Sea-Doo? No, yeah.
Sea-Doo? You mean just water skis?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Sea-Doo. You stand on it, you don't sit on it.
Yeah, they're prejudiced against fat people. Yeah. I can't stand up on that. That's ridiculous.
Isn't everybody prejudiced against fat people?
Yes, of course. It's a hateful society.
No, the Japanese have those like superstar wrestlers.
We find out that Bobby has only broken his nose. And like, my dad finds out about this, and my dad, he comes home from work and he's doing the pace back and forth in the house. And I've never seen my dad get this mad. And my dad, scrap iron, tough guy. He's just like, I'm gonna rip his throat out. I'm gonna rip his arms off. Just like I can hear it in the
Hogan.
I can hear it in the phone. I can hear it through the phone in the background. My dad's just like, I'm gonna fuck him up.
Who is it gonna fuck up? You or the vice principal?
Vice principal. My dad was gonna walk to the school 15 miles away and just burn through that thing. He would take. My dad would probably. Based on his anger, I just had this image in my head of my dad walking up to the school and punching the building and it exploding like a Merry Melodies cartoon. I didn't get arrested, though.
Did you call up Ernie and be like, bro, run. Run. My dad is coming. He's going to fucking rage.
No, I wanted it to be a surprise.
See, it's not always good to be on top, Pat. Highfalutin positions like class president. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Like, what is this? I just did it so I could get into college, for Christ's sake. I needed some resume fodder.
You didn't realize this. Now you're going to be held responsible.
Easy. It's just like, you get that. You get free pizza for everybody. Game over. You get into school. Not like that.
No, you're blamed for all the discipline issues.
I get blamed for it.
Little did you know, you can go to college just by being alive.
Yeah.
But can you afford it? That's the problem.
Junior college, maybe.
Well, the way he was describing it, like I was like masterminded the public murder of this kid by 50 high school students.
You were Cassius.
I I masterminded this entire thing. Like I was Suge Knight, and, it was Tupac that just got murdered.
Fallen James in the Tahoe mud, stick around to tell us all a tale. Well, he fell in love with a Gum Street girl. Now he's dancing in the Birmingham jail. Dancing in the Birmingham jail.
My two brushes with the law happened exactly a year between them. One was in 7th grade and one was in 8th grade. And
you juvie.
Yeah, I was a problem.
You're a bad kid.
I was super duper hyper, and everybody just assumed I was on drugs. But much like now, nope, just super fucking hyper. Anyway, in 7th grade, this is the same friend who we mentioned is now. My mom described him as looking like a busted up Sergeant Pepper. He just a quick update for Joe. When I got, did I tell you? Yeah, he was parking cars in Civil War regalia. So that's what this guy's up to now. And I'm just gonna call him I don't know,
Nerm.
I'm gonna call him Nerm.
Nerm Sturgis.
I'm gonna call him Nerm. I'm gonna call him Nerm Sturgis because that's actually perfect. Nerm lived about a block away from me, and Nerm would come to my house, and we would walk from my house about a block up to school. And on the walk to school one day, I'm walking on the inside of the sidewalk, he's walking on the outside. He picked up a stick and threw it at a car. Just for funsies, because we were in 7th grade.
Shits and gigs.
Not a big stick, just enough to like hit the wheel well and go, just to, scare the driver. We're like, haha, got 2 seconds of a laugh out of it, and then just keep walking, and we're on our merry way. We go to school. And what we didn't know is the lady whose car he threw the stick at, her brother was a cop. So she just immediately called her brother and was like, hey, there's 2 kids walking to the junior high. One of them just threw a stick at my car. And the cop goes, what do they look like? And he's like, well, there's one tall, fat one and a short, skinny one. And so they call it into the school, and they're like, tall, fat, short, skinny. Oh, well, that's Rivers, Langley, and Nerm Sturgis, of course. And so I made it almost to the end of first period.
So you were the tall, skinny one, right?
I was the tall, fat one. He was the short, skinny one.
Okay.
It's usually the tall, skinny, the short, fat.
No.
Classic Mutt and Jeff.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We kind of, we took it the other direction.
You were innovators.
Yeah, that's right.
Innovators of violence, it appears.
I like it. Violence is gold.
Well, I don't know. Laurel and Hardy. Hardy was tall and fat.
I think
short and skinny.
Of Mice and Men as well.
That too. Yeah, exactly.
They were fictional.
But anyway, I make it almost to the end of to the first period. That's how long it took him to crack this case. About 30 minutes. And so I get the call. They call me into the office. I walk into the office. I round the corner, and there are like 4 police officers. And I see Nerm in one office just sitting there being talked to by the cops. And this cop is like, I'm Officer Johnson. You're going to have to come this way.
I'm Officer Johnson.
Or whatever. I don't know. I'm making up names.
I'm Officer Rod Johnson.
Officer Jack me off. He's coming this way. But so I go into this room.
Principal Seymour
Butts.
And his secretary Amanda Hugginkiss.
So the cop is like, oh, come in this room. So I go in the room with the cop, and we're sitting there, and he looks at me, he goes, now, son, I'm looking at you right now, and I know you're a good kid, and I know you didn't do this. I know it was Mr. Sturgis over there that did this, okay? But, son, if you keep hanging out with people like this, that's a one-way ticket to the electric chair. Yes! For throwing a stick at a car. It's the one-way ticket to the electric chair.
It is Alabama. If that had somehow damaged her tire and flipped her car and she died, you would have gotten the chair. Accessory after the fact.
Especially in Alabama, they probably execute at 7 there.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was the first, almost probably a year to the day. I'm with another friend of mine in Nerm, and basically Nerm is just like, oh, my friend was hungry, and he goes, yeah, I'll if you go out and moon some cars, I'll buy you a Burger King #1. So
it's a single
with
Whopper.
Cheese.
I suppose so. Whopper with cheese. That was the offer. So Nerm and
that's blowing your entire allowance right there. So that's
so we're at my parents' house. Nerm and my other friend go to one side of the street. I go to the opposite side of the street on the further away from my parents' house. So now there is a road in between me and my folks' house, and I begin filming. And they begin mooning cars. And it was literally within feet of where the first incident I described happened. I'm not even kidding. It was
cursed ground.
It was
the Rivers dumbass corner.
Yeah, exactly.
They always return to the scene of the crime.
Yeah. A year later, we're mooning cars, and I'm filming it.
What were you filming it with?
A little high-8 camera, because we were super into Tom Green at the time. So that was the thing to do. And so we were filming it, and then a police car just pulls up in between me, and I now have a road separating me from my parents' house, and there's a police car, and I'm like, oh shit. So I turn around and I erase the tape. So I didn't film that much, so I managed to erase the entire tape before he picked me up. But when he picks me up, he was just like, yeah, I see you erased it, but I saw what your friends were doing. You're gonna have to get in the car and blah blah blah. And so I told him, I was
Remember,
just like,
you had a camera, because this could have been like a juvenile Rodney King thing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and I should mention, this is Easter Sunday, 2000.
Why the hell would you be mooning people on Easter Sunday?
I mean,
you might as well be mooning Jesus.
I told him.
That's a holiday,
Nerm has no scruples, man.
This
Nerm knows no God. Nerm will lead you to perdition in this life and the next.
This is, I don't know, this is what happens when you're...
Nerm is real.
When you don't...
You can see him and hear him. Mooning people on the streets, if you will. In public, if you will.
On the Lord's Day.
On the Lord's Day, Rivers.
In front of Rivers, God, and the neighbor.
So they picked me up, and I told them, I'm like, well...
If this was the Middle Ages, you could have been killed.
I tell them, well, it happens in the Miller's Tale in Chaucer.
Well, yeah, they did like to moon people in the Middle Ages, but even on Easter Sunday?
That's the thing.
No.
Well, you could say it was a fertility rite or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But, maybe the Inquisition would be like these damn...
And nobody's butt got kissed.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
So
or Rennie Red Hot Polkas.
The police officer says, well, we're going to take you to the police station and call your parents. I'm like, oh, my parents live right across the street. Could you just take me there? And he's like, all right, fine. So we turn around. He pulls into my neighborhood, and as we're rounding the corner, there are now 4 police cars in front of my parents' house. It's the biggest crime in Auburn, Alabama. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And they're leading Nerm and my other friend down the driveway. They caught them behind my parents' house. My parents are just like asleep watching Entertainment Tonight. They have no fucking idea what's going on. Exactly.
The Tesh is like Quaalude.
Yeah. They have no idea there's like police chasing my friends in their backyard and shit. And they're leading them down the street and they have them like sit on the curb. I'm like, oh, fuck. So they knock on the door and my mom answers the door. And she's like, what the fuck did you do? And the cops are just like, well, Ms. Langley, they were, mooning cars.
Did they bust out laughing?
And they were filming it. No, they were so serious, dude. The cops in Auburn are ridiculous. They're so fucking self-important. Like, we've done justice today. We've really done the right thing. So they're like explaining, and my mom's just like, okay, well, he's in deep shit. Obviously, I'm so sorry. You had to do this on Sunday.
Well, you didn't do anything illegal.
Yeah, I know, but
you should have denied you knew those guys.
Well, that's the thing. But
you should say I was taping this to show
for you
how these sacrilege
doing your work, officer.
Well, if my mom is like, she'll just immediately, because she was a teacher for so long, I think. Like, anytime I got in trouble in school, it was my fucking fault, no matter what I had to say about it, because that's who she is. But anyway, she's like, I'm very sorry, blah, blah, blah. So the cops are about to leave, and they're like, well, we're going to take these two down to the police station to call their parents. And it was at that point my mom goes, well, actually, I know that one's mom, so he can come back inside. You can take Nerm Sturgis away. and they did. They took Nerm to the police station. And made him call his parents.
Whatever happened to Nerm?
Huh?
He parks cars dressed in civil war.
Oh, that's right. That was him.
He's living the dream.
He's living my dream. Anybody who gets to wear Civil War regalia 24/7
and park cars.
My life.
Does he ask the people, now how do I work this moving automobile?
No, like I said, he's not this horseless carriage.
It's a horseless carriage.
Y'all. Does it kind of yank his secret weapon?
Do you spin the thing at the front? I've seen that in movie reels.
Yeah. This looks like the Monitor.
I'm parking ironclads.
I want to stress this again. He's not parking cars at a reenactment. That's just what he wears now.
Well, what kind of uniform is it?
Confederate, I believe.
Is it an officer's or enlisted man?
I didn't see it.
Infantry, cavalry, artillery? Zouave, perhaps?
Well, the description was a busted Sergeant Pepper, so...
that could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything.
I think I got a couple of stories for you. When I was in high school, we used to, my parents were like super like worky type guys. Like not workaholics, but they were always at work, so I had to walk home from school.
Latchkey kid.
Latchkey kid, because the bus was like 4 people deep and people sitting in the aisles, and even then, they were
triple deep.
Yeah, it was just like triple deep because they're fucking awesome.
It was off the chin's head.
Yeah. So I like walked home, and like the school, there was like the school, some woods, and then my neighborhood. So we'd walk home through the woods every day, and then like these kids who were like in like 8th or 9th grade, we're in like 10th grade, like started yelling at us because we were like smoking pot on their like the fort their dad built for them. And the kids weren't mad that we were smoking pot. They were mad that we were like smoking pot on his dad's like thing. My dad built that for me. I can't believe you would do that. You guys are dicks. This is like, they're like, what, 14? We're like 15. I don't think I could drive yet. So I'm probably like 15. They're maybe 13. So they're like super pissed, following us around, yelling at us, cursing at us, because this is Alabama. So there's like little 14-year-olds, you're a motherfucking dick. So they followed us home.
You listening to me there, butthead?
Yeah. So this goes on for a few days of them following us home and yelling at us. And I had a friend who would walk home with me, and they would always, throw like rocks at us or something. But we never did anything because they were like, like 13, 12, like little fucking kids. So we were like, God, these fucking kids are out of control, but what are we going to do? So they keep following us home. And then one day they start throwing rocks at my parents' windows. So my friend that I went home with was like, dude, don't you have an old broken shotgun? And I was like, well, I think my mom has like, my grandfather's old broken shotgun somewhere here. And he was like, you should go get it. I'll open the door, you pump it, I'll slam the door, and they'll leave us alone. They'll be so scared. It'll be fucking hilarious. And like every idea we had in high school, it went like the exact opposite.
It never is hilarious.
It's never hilarious. It's always like, damn it. So I get the old shotgun. Like, the thing's, like, falling apart in my hands. He opens the door. It hits me. The shotgun hits the ground. It wasn't loaded, thank God. So the shotgun hits the ground. They're like, what the fuck is that? Because they didn't see us yet. So I pull the shotgun up and, like, thrust it up and, like, I pump it. They're like, ah! ah! And they start running off. I like turn to the side. The shotgun like hits the side of the door, falls apart on pieces into the ground.
Fucking Elmo fun or something.
And so then we slam the door. We slam the door so they don't see the broken gun. The gun's in pieces on the floor. We're like kicking it around, trying to get the door closed. And we're like, that's the end of that. Problem solved. And then like 2 weeks later, like 6 Alabaster Police Department officers are at high school waiting for us. So unbeknownst to me, like my friend a couple of days later had gotten like a hockey stick and like chased them around the neighborhood, like trying to kill them or some shit. So when their brother went to kick his ass
when kids go homicidal, that's the fucking
yes.
I got a golf club,
dude. I tried to strangle Nerm Sturgis. Matter of fact,
Well, you know, Frank and
with a wife beater.
A wife beater?
Yeah, like a TikTok.
Is this a domestic dispute? Or
like, is that Redneck Garrote?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, shit. I mean, Frank.
So the
Frank and one of his best friends when he was young, he chased him with a hatchet.
Well, anyway, the kid's older brother like went up to my friend and was like, "Why were you chasing him around with a hockey stick?" And he's like, "I chased him around with a hockey stick. Joe Raines is the one who pulled a gun on him." so the guy is like. The guy is losing his fucking mind, like running around the neighborhood trying to find me because he's like, "You put a gun on my brother," and I was like, "Dude, the gun fell apart in my hands."
It wasn't much of a gun. Really.
Even if it had been loaded, it would have been like far and away and shot my own face off. So there's no fucking way I could have done anything to your little brother, and I didn't chase him around. He's like, "Well, that's fine because my parents called the cops." So the cops are like, there's like 10 of them at the school waiting for us. It's all around school. The school was like, "Did you hear Joe Raines shot like 4 people?" So everybody thinks I'm like this crazy murderer. All these people who have been bullying me for years, like wanting to make eye contact with me, running away from me because they think I'm a Columbine the high school. So the cops are there and they're like, "Well, what did you do?" So I had to like write like a dissertation on what exactly happened, and then nothing ever happened from it except for my friend got in trouble for the hockey stick, which today I still think is hilarious. Like I guess you could say I legitimately pulled a gun out, I guess, even though I didn't point it at him. All he had was a hockey stick, and he
went
got in
Casey
trouble.
Jones on him.
Yeah, for real.
That's right.
Could have laid the smackdown on Bebop with that.
Yeah, rock steady. I understand.
Then I had another time, I was driving to a gig in Atlanta. This is when I was living in Birmingham, and I had a gig at the Laughing Skull Comedy Club in Atlanta, which is like my favorite place to do stand-up in Atlanta. So I'm driving there, I'm late, I'm hauling ass, and this guy pulls out in front of me. I swerve over not to hit him, but I didn't use my blinker. So I had a state trooper pull me over. And he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh man, I'm just late for a gig I got in Atlanta. Can you just let me go?" And he was like, "Well, let me just run your card real quick." So he takes my license, comes back, and he's like, "Mr. Raines, are you aware you have a warrant out?" And this is like way before I ever got in any trouble. So I was like, "There's no possible way I have a warrant out, officer." And he's like, "Well, you have one out. Take the keys out of the ignition, step out of the car." I was like, "Officer, what could I possibly have a warrant out for?" He was like, "Well, it's a marijuana warrant, so I'm assuming you got busted for possession." And I was like, "I've never been arrested before, officer. This is insane." Yeah. He's like, "Well, you have a marijuana warrant out, and I'm not going to let you go." So he puts handcuffs on me, sticks me in the back seat. So I'm in the back seat freaking the fuck out because I'm like, I got a warrant charge. I got marijuana. I'm not going to make it to the gig. My life is over. So he gets his cell phone out, and he's like, "What's your parents' number?" Because at this point, I think I'm like 20 or something. And he's like, "I'm going to call your parents, let them know I'm going to be a nice guy." And I was like, "Well, that is nice, I guess." And so I tell my parents' number. I'm like sweating, freaking out. He's calling my parents. Talking on the phone with my parents. He's like, "I just got to tell him you probably won't be coming home because you got about 5 years on this charge." And I was like, "Oh my God, what the fuck? I've never been arrested before." He's like, "Yeah, I hope you like dick." And I'm like, "Oh my God, oh my God." And then he calls
Did he literally say that?
Yeah, like
That's awful.
I'm literally losing my fucking mind. I'm handcuffed in the back of his cruiser. He's telling me.
What an a-hole.
Exactly. He's telling me all this shit. I'm to the point of tears. Like, I haven't started crying yet, but it's going to happen. And he calls my mom up. And he's talking to my mom. And he's like, "Well, Mrs. Raines, I have your son here on some charges. And I'm afraid he's going to have to go to jail for a little while."
This guy's a sadistic fuck.
Exactly. So I'm losing my mind. And he's just like, "No, I'm just joking, Miss Raines. I'm going to let him go. He told me he was a comedian, so I thought it'd be funny. Talk to you later. Have a good day."
Whoa!
I'm in the back seat like, you motherfucker, I hope you die. This is the worst thing ever. So he gets me out of the back seat, takes the handcuffs, and he's like, man, I was just joking with you. And I'm like, that's fucking awful. This is awful. And he starts laughing. And then finally I start laughing with him. Because at that point, I started calming down. I'm like, all right, you got me. I guess I did tell you I was a comedian. So
never tell a cop that shit.
He's got this, and he's like, man, I got to get a picture with you. And I was like, what? And he was like, oh, I'm going to tell everybody about this. And I was like, there's no way I'm giving you a picture. He's like, well, you're going to let me take a picture with you, or I'm going to give you a ticket for not using a blinker. And so somewhere there's a Talladega state trooper, a Talladega, Alabama state trooper who has a picture of me with tears still on my face in his little squad car.
I was on Halloween. Halloween fell on a Friday this year. I was a sophomore in college. I love me some Halloween. I love Halloween a lot. And if Halloween's on a Friday, this means you get 2 Halloweens.
Yeah.
You got Halloween Friday, Halloween Saturday. Perfect. So Halloween Friday, I dress up like the Dice Man for Halloween. Which was very liberating.
Such a weird thing to dress up for Halloween.
I think we've talked about this, and everyone thought you were
well, it was just so because he's such a weird dude, you know.
He still does his.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've
yeah.
seen him talking. You know, he wears shorts now, which I think is pretty funny.
What?
He wears shorts and white socks.
That's
How
not
does
allowed.
The Dice Man do that? He used to wear like all leather, and now he's got
Dice. I don't know
shorts and Birkenstocks.
Whatever
And
you can do. So Friday I dressed like Dice, and I'm like, find out about this Halloween party. It's Saturday night. Find out about this Halloween party. We're gonna crash them. There's 3 of them. I'm like, well, I can't show up to a Halloween party not in a costume, but I don't have my costume. What am I gonna do? And my friend was like, she was like, oh, well, I might have something in my closet that you can wear. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And she presents to me a costume that she put together of me dressing like a flapper. Flapper dress, flapper pearls, wig. I have a beard.
Open mic.
Not the open mic, but just like the hat.
Burbank?
Flappers Burbank.
Flappers Claremont, actually.
I hate when people dress as concepts like that.
But it's me that just gets handed that, and I'm just like, all right, whatever. You know, I'll put this on. So I'm driving my friends. They're all blasted.
Yeah.
I was always DD. They were blasted drunk.
Yeah.
And they had an they had a half a keg in the back of their car that was tapped that they were drinking out of. I was driving.
fucking champion.
Hell yeah.
One of my friends is having acid flashbacks in the car. He's just sitting there, and the whole
It's a hell of a night to have acid flashbacks.
he's just sitting around like we go to a party. He's sitting there, he's just like runs out of the room. And we're like, "What's the matter, dude?" And he's like, there was a vacuum cleaner attached to a cornucopia that showed up, and I figured, we're all dead.
Underdog, give me a hand job.
The rug is eating the rug. You know, that was the comment that knew that he was going down. Going down a lost highway. The rug is eating the rug. So anyway, he's having acid flashbacks.
It's a Persian Ouroboros.
Yeah, so it's he's having acid flashbacks. One of my friends, they're drinking out of the tap keg. One of my friends is hanging out of the window like, you know, and I'm driving their car, not the guy having acid flashbacks, it's this dude's car, that he just trashes. It was a Ford Explorer, and it was just trash. It was dirty and just had dings in it. He broke the axle because he went off-roading in it because he thought it was a 4-wheel drive, but it was actually a 2-wheel drive. So he busted the axle of it and got stuck in a swamp. So I'm driving this piece of shit, and the emergency lights are out, and I'm dressed in this dress like a flapper. I'm the ugliest, burliest flapper. You know, I look like a bear in a flapper costume. And these guys are motley crew. The emergency brake light is out. Like, the brake lights are out in this car. So I'm driving a car that is definitely going to get me pulled over. I'm dressed like this. There's the biggest open container you possibly can have in a car, in the back of the car.
Besides a cooler of Hunch Punch.
Yeah. Outside of a car full of Hunch Punch. This guy's having acid flashbacks. And then, like, I'm just like, that's it. And I just, like, go through all the things that I could possibly get arrested for. I was like, what now? And somebody's like, hey, Josh, somebody wrote something in the back of your window in the dirt. And I looked over, and it was just the biggest drawing of a penis. It was the whole window. And I was like, that's it. If I get pulled over tonight, I'm done. You know, there are so many misdemeanors in this car. Not to mention the fact that I'm dressed not for jail, you know? And I'm just trying to do my princely duty of DDing these miscreants.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
But you didn't get pulled over. No.
I didn't get pulled over. By the grace of God, I drove around what had to have been. I got lost in the boonies that night. Didn't get pulled over. It blew my mind.
Maybe because you respected the dignity of Christmas and Easter growing up.
Yeah, I think
Probably so.
Yeah. Some sort of good karma that I just used up all of.
They liked that the artist used the entire canvas for their dick drawing. A true artist uses the entire canvas.
Because a lot of people, when they try to draw a dick, they really can't draw that well.
Well, I mean, it wasn't photorealistic. It was just like the normal, like, oh, I'm going to draw in this social studies textbook.
Oh, yeah, but see, that's like 2 circles and like just a line and a bell on top. That's not a good dick.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm doing the emergency flashers right now because the brake lights are out. So you're going to see.
You can at least do
drawing even more attention to the craziness.
You can at least do the one that looks like a Cheeto.
It was
or
one
something.
of those. It was like
that's probably why you didn't get pulled over. Because like if you're trying to hide something, usually the best place is in plain sight. So maybe if you just have like a mega horn, you could like ramp it up a notch and put a mega horn out the window and just yell crazy shit. I'm driving drunk. There's cocaine in the trunk.
I'm wearing a flapper outfit. I've got a beard.
Just be like Penelope Cruz and blow.
Maybe nobody could tell it was a dick because it was so poorly drawn. They thought it was some weird emoticon on the back or some shit.
Or an arrow pointing to somewhere.
Yeah, to just nebulously off that way.
So, and I was driving around. I was driving around in Atlanta, so that's testament to Atlanta cops will not pull over anybody under any circumstances.
I think there's 3 cops beyond a doubt you never fuck with. There's 3 states where you never, ever, ever, ever fuck with them. Number 1 is Alabama. I don't even think I need to explain why. There's footage of us doing horrible things.
Yeah.
2, Mississippi. Why? Because it's fucking Mississippi. Yeah. Number 3, Texas. Why? Because that's where the goddamn bandit's from. There's 3 cops you don't fuck with. Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas.
That's if you're white. If you're black, there's 50 states.
It's all of
cops
them.
You can't fuck with.
Yeah, it's a whole world. I was coming home from a concert one night, and I got off the interstate. It was very late. It was about 3 a.m., and I take a left on Suge Jordan Parkway, and we're driving around this curve, and I see these 2 cars that are riding right next to each other, and this other car kind of goes into the other car's lane. So it's like a Buick sedan and a nice like Tahoe, and the sedan kind of veers into the Tahoe's lane. The Tahoe corrects quickly and then just begins rolling.
Oh man!
Like it goes off the road and just starts rolling, and I'm like, oh fuck! And the guy in the Buick just keeps going. And I was like, holy shit. And I'm the only person on the road because it's 3 a.m. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I pull off, and I'm with my friend who's asleep in the passenger seat. And I pull off the road, and I just pull up behind, and I'm already on the phone with the police. As soon as I saw it happen, I just immediately called the police. I'm like, there's been an accident. I'm at this part of Suge Jordan Parkway, blah, blah, blah. And so I turn around in the road, and I'm pulling up behind the car, and this like just drunk fucking frat kid climbs out from the Tahoe. He's just like, oh, fuck, man. Fuck, man. And I'm like on the phone with the police like, yeah, I think he's okay, but you should probably get an ambulance, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, is that the cops, man? I'm like, Yeah, I thought you were dead. Yes, I was afraid for a fellow human being.
Either way, it's the ambulance when we'll call the cops.
Well, and he's just like, I can't get a DUI, man.
I can't get into Harvard Law with DUI.
Right. And meanwhile, the operator, the 911 operator, is hearing all of this going on, and she's like, so the suspect is moving around, or the driver's moving around. I'm like, yeah, he's moving around. And he's like, just take me anywhere, man. Just get me out of here. And I'm like, I'm not going to do, I'm still on the phone. I'm like,
I just hear Metallica's One playing. The story.
I was just like,
You have to put that in later.
Cue Metallica's One. And I'm just like, I'm on the phone with the cop, and I'm just like, I'm not taking you away from the scene of this horrific accident. I'm sorry. And he's just like, come on, just drive me to the Chevron, man. Come on. And so I hang up on the operator. I hang up on the 911 girl, and I'm just like, listen. I hang up on the 911 operator, and I'm just like, listen, man. I'm very sorry this happened to you. I didn't know you were drunk. I thought you were dead. I called the police out of the kindness of my own heart. I'm going to leave, and I'm not taking you with me because that's illegal. And he's just like, come on, please, just take me to the gas station. I won't say anything. I'm like, no. She heard you. So just run. Just run. Run now. And he's like, what? I'm like, there's a cow pasture right there. Just fucking take off. Just run. And he did. He turned heel and ran, and like I saw him like run into the darkness, hopped a fence, and just disappeared. He got away. I'm sure of it. But anyway, yeah.
Well, you know him.
Is it leaving the scene of the crime, though, if you just leave your car wrecked there?
Yeah.
Well, even if they showed up, they'd find by the registration whose car it was.
Yeah, but they don't know you're drunk.
But it could have been his dad's car, because it's probably his dad's car.
Well, it's not as many points on your license.
If you weren't drunk, why the hell would you leave?
Because he's drunk and he's an idiot.
I think if you're drunk, you would leave, but your story would be, I wasn't drunk, I just wanted to go get help.
Yeah, it's plausible deniability.
Yeah. I went to the Chevron. That's the safe zone.
Yeah.
Bro.
I just need...
You can't rescue me. I'm inside a Chevron.
I went to the pasture to get some
it's like
cows.
A church. It's my sanctuary. You get sanctuary if you're in a Chevron bathroom.
I just imagine they find him in the pasture. I'm the king of the cows now.
Yeah, he was trying to get the cows to turn the car back up.
I see him like inside a Chevron trying to hide behind a singular Snickers, just like holding a Snickers up and trying to hide behind it.
The cops roll up and he's riding the bull.
Like the little spaceship with the going.
He's in a little Flintstone car.
Somebody put another quarter in. I'm gonna run from the police.
He flips that fucking thing over.
I can just imagine him covering himself in just cow poo and just being like, where'd this car come from? I was hanging out with my cows. I'm the ambassador of the cows.
Like a fucking swamp thing or some shit.
Good thing.
Oh, shit.
Swamp thing.
He just starts gathering up shit, trying to make some butt hash.
I gotta go now. I gotta end it. Gotta make me enough butt hash to OD.
How many of these cow turds do I have to eat before I'm tripping?
That was a perfect little circle to tie up that bow. Joe, how can people get a hold of you online?
I am on the Facebooks, and I have a deactivated Twitter as well.
See, I knew this. I've been trying to get Joe back into the Twitter, and
why?
Hollywood.
I hate Twitter. I feel like I reserve the right to not be part of the problem.
Can I shake your hand?
Yes, you may.
I have been wanting to quit since day one, and my man John Faso forced me to be on that thing.
I don't. Who gives a shit about Twitter?
Yeah.
Twitter followers
sucks ass.
It does not. Twitter followers do not equal friends.
No, and Twitter followers don't even equal as many as Facebook followers. People got to realize it's like Twitter is like all the annoying things about Facebook, but none of the useful aspects neither.
It's like you have all the shitty passive-aggressive statuses, but none of the bikini pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you don't go to the beach, why are you on Facebook? Like, you're a hot lady and you never go to the beach? I don't fucking believe you. Where are your beach pictures? Which can only mean one thing. I'm like partially friends with you. You have like somehow put me in a subset of friend group where I cannot see your beach pictures, which is the sole reason I friended you on Facebook in the first place. So you're just shitting on my life right now is what you're doing. So please, God.
You know what? This is perfect because I haven't actually pimped our Twitter yet. If you're listening and you're not friends with us on Twitter yet, it's at The Goods Pod.
We have all sorts of great things like Sergeant Slaughter playing a Budweiser-shaped guitar.
Oh, I've
seen that video. It's from a monster truck video.
I found a picture of Hulk Hogan with the war bonnet with the fist. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw that up on
I have one of these APTA magazines, which used to say ban the helmet or ban Hogan.
So find us on Facebook at The Goods from the Wood.
And find
Facebook.com/TheGoodsPod, at The Goods Pod on Twitter. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.